Powerful affirmations. This is about what you take from what life has taught you, you have taken in, and how to make that as that recording, like replacing some of the negative self talk with positive self talk. When I was growing up, my mom would always make me read Psalms 91, the whole 16 verses. So it starts out as, "He who dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." So it is really a psalm or a prayer of protection. Like, shared that with my children. I know my daughter, she made like a canvas tote where she did some stitching, and she put, for my mom, and she put the Psalm 91 on the badge. I like to quote Maya Angelou, of course, a lot. There's a couple different poems. Maya Angelou, Zora Neale Hurston. When I first started journaling, I wasn't at the highest point, in my life. I started journaling probably in 2000. At one point, I was facing a divorce, foreclosure, and a repossession. That was one of the lowest points of my life. I had just started working as like a substitute teacher assistant. My ex-husband and I, we went through our divorce. We were going through our divorce, and during that time period before the divorce, it's not working, and it's better for us to divorce. I had just started working, and I want to say I had started like April of that year, so like right in the springtime. I want to say by that next summer, I decided that I was going to move back to Virginia. I sold my car. I had a Nissan Maxima at the time. I sold my car, renting a car, and driving my kids down to Virginia with the idea in my mind that it would be like a trial period of separation. I could kind of get on my feet in Virginia during the summertime because my youngest was not in school at that time. I was out on summer break for school, so it was like the perfect opportunity. We were often travel. Both of us are from Virginia. And so we will often, travel to Virginia throughout the year to see our family. I was deciding that I was going to, leave and go live in Virginia. And so I got to Virginia, and I realized that it would take a lot of resources, and there were certain things that I did not want to sacrifice. And I decided at the end of the summer, my husband at the time and we talked, reconciled. I was still feeling like I don't know if I want to be, or go back to Connecticut, but I decided ultimately that I would return to Connecticut with, trying to give this marriage another try. He purchased another car, and within maybe the next 2 years is when, or maybe it might have even been a year, where I finally decided to file for divorce. Just leading up to that, we weren't talking, to be honest. We weren't talking to each other. The house, at that point, he decided to let the house go into foreclosure. And so, especially once I served him with the divorce papers, that's when he was like, well, I'm going to be moving out of the home. And he gave that opportunity. If you want, you and the kids can come live with me. I was like, no, I'm good, right? Struggling a little financially, not having, I don't have to pay the mortgage on the house or anything like that. So I was only making not a lot of money as a substitute teacher assistant at that point, and wanting to go back to school and doing, other entrepreneurial type of things on the side, still not making enough to really sustain the car at this point. And so, like, in the process of the divorce, not only was the house being foreclosed on, but my car ended up getting repossessed. Having to actually get a ride from him to go to one of the court dates. And I would say, like, that was probably one of the lowest times in my life, um, especially because I had to get a ride from him to actually go to the court date. But I think in his mind, it was all about him trying to save the marriage. However, I was pretty set on, like, I wanted a divorce. And so from there, he was like, if you need a ride home, I was like, that's okay. One of my friends from work, picked me up. And at that point, because I never forget, during the conversation when he came over to the house, because when I say I'm resourceful, um, I started researching foreclosure, how to stop it, what I need to do if I couldn't stop it, how much time could I stay in the home until, and I just started saving my money, right? So I was saving my money, and I was able to get my car back. So that day when he gave me a ride to the courthouse, it was also during the time period where it was like, oh, they charge you, like, I don't know, some like $20-$30 a day or something to store your car. And so of course I had to pay the garage storage fee, as well as pay back what I owed for the car. And so I remember him saying to me, you will never get that car back. And I was like, I am. And I think that lit the fire underneath me for a lot of things. And so so having to, like, get that ride from him that day, knowing that, okay, like, later on today, after this court visit, guess what, I'm going to get my car. So I just held it in and whatnot. And so I ended up, after the court, having to go, like, right to the place, paid the money. They tried to be a little like, oh, well, your name is not on the car. I said, but I am Mrs. Robinson. I drive that car. And so they ended up calling the bank and all this kind of stuff, and I got that car back. It was just me, coming up from that, kind of journaling about, exploring and processing what I often talk about. Who are my supports? Powerful affirmations that I kind of said to myself during those times. I remember, so once I learned, like, okay, this is what foreclosure is and all this kind of stuff, and I have until this particular date, till when they will sell the house. And he's like trying to figure out, like, why is she still in the house, what is she doing and whatnot. But anyway, he would come get the kids or whatnot. At one point they actually put the big sign in front of the home. He came over one day. I'm feeling a little embarrassed, right, about this situation. Neighbors seeing this big old sign, and he takes the sign off, put it on the side of the house. And I think at that point the realtor there was like, okay, or whoever that was dealing with the thing at that point, because slowly but surely I was, like, packing up things, and I was viewing different apartments. And there were a couple apartments that I viewed, and I would say that I literally would leave and, like, be on the verge of tears. I remember going into one apartment with this shaggy carpet that was, like, so disgusting. A bathroom that looked like it was a closet that had carpet in it. And another lady was looking at the apartment, and she's like, I'm putting my deposit down today and all this kind of stuff. So in Connecticut, a lot of times the houses will look really nice on the outside. Victorian houses, big houses, well kept. And then you go inside and it's like you hit 1910 or something in there. I don't know. 1930s or I don't know. And so and all I could think, I cannot raise my kids in this little apartment. They came from a home with a backyard, and I just, I'm like, I have to give them something comparable to it. If it can't be the same 3 bedroom family home, it need to be something comparable. So anyway, I was going looking at different, apartments in that particular apartment, and I was like, I don't really want that. Anyway, you can have it. As I drove off in my car, and then I saw like a third floor walk up that wasn't too far, because I wanted to be in the same city so they didn't have to worry about changing schools. So I was planning all these things, and so it was a third floor walk up. The lady was really nice, but I looked around the neighborhood, and this is not to be judgmental or anything like that. I looked around the neighborhood. Again, is 3 family houses within like literally next door to each other, busy kind of street, and I did not like the environment, and I was like, I cannot raise my children here. um, and that was the constant thing. And so finally I went on Craigslist. I don't know where I think I don't remember where I was looking at for some of those other apartments, if it was like the newspaper or something at that point. But anyway, so I finally went on Craigslist, and when Craigslist, at some point people were like, do not meet people or look for apartments on Craigslist. But anyway, just by chance, saw a phone number, 3 bedroom apartment, or I don't remember what it was, but dining room, whatever, apartment. I don't remember how she had it listed. So I call up the number, went to go visit it, once we set up the date and time, went to go visit the apartment, and looked around the neighborhood, and I was like, wow, I like this neighborhood. Still, most of it had, like, whether or not 2 family homes or 3 family homes, but the spacing was, different. A dead end street. When I was talking to, once I finally met the landlord, a Haitian family, and I remember, because she said to me, she's like, one of the things that stuck out, what you were saying, that you wanted somewhere safe, for your kids, and she's like, that's why I chose you. And so from that point on, let me tell you, like, they were Haitian. They were Haitian. The landlords next door, they lived, like, all of the landlords lived in their properties, and they rented it out. So the other family was Puerto Rican, or Dominican. I'm not for sure. They might have been Dominican family. They lived on the first floor of their apartment, and they rented out up top. Italian family, another Hispanic family, another like Caucasian family across the street. Same situation, where they lived in their 3 family or 2 family home, and they rented out like the upper floor or something like that. So she was like, well, I will give you the second floor because you can have the top, a little bit more money. And I was like, no, I'll take the first floor. And so it was a 2 bedroom with a dining room. So we had to make some accommodation for my boys to be in the bedroom or whatnot. But I will say that I felt so surrounded by support during that time. But yeah, they were very, very supportive of me and my children. And so during that time, like I said, I was journaling, planning, saving, doing all these different things, just so that I can put myself into a better situation.